Come on in, folks. We got to get everybody in. So move down,
you
please.
get your own sticker.
I get a sticker. Yeah, this is where I cut my teeth in the Navy. The aft stack, all the fueling stations, yeah. The B&A crane, boat and aircraft, that is. We never had an elevator when I was here.
I know, right?
The USS Midway was the longest active aircraft carrier in the 20th century. The famous Battle of Midway went down in June of 1942. That's where Midway got its name. Although it only took 17 months to build the Midway, it missed World War II by 1 week. It was commissioned in September of 1945. Smell it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the fuel oil. When we were doing the crossing the line, the shellback ceremony, we had to crawl out here on our hands and knees, and then we rode the elevator up to the flat deck where they stood on either side with hoses hosing us down. A lot of fun.
I watched your show.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. The Midway was more than a warship. It was also a rescue ship, rescuing more than 3,000 refugees from Saigon in 1975, and also 1,800 Americans from the Philippines when Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991, which I was a part of that mission. We turned this aircraft carrier into a floating hotel for a couple days, where the entire hangar bay was filled with Americans that lived in the Philippines at Subic Bay and the surrounding areas. We evacuated them to Cebu, Philippines, where we offloaded them via helicopter so they could make it safely back to the U.S. It was just nothing but cots and people, and one of the aft sponsons was where they put all the dogs, all their pets. We had many a Steel Beach picnic up here. We refueled the ship while underway. They're called underway replenishments, in which a fueling ship comes alongside of us, sends over their refueling hoses, and we start pumping fuel from them onto our ship so that we don't have to pull into port. We can stay on station, and we can actually maintain our course in the direction that we're going. One time, one of those fueling hoses popped out in the middle of the underway replenishment, and it soaked every one of us on that station full of fuel. And at the time, our bosun, who was the head senior chief warrant officer at the time of deck department, told every one of us to strip off our clothes and throw them over the side because they were fuel soaked. And we kind of looked at him like he was crazy until he started to take off all his clothes and throw them over the side. So at the end of the refueling, we were standing there in our boots, socks, skivvies, and our orange K-Pop life vest on, 30, 60 days in Subic in the Philippines. It wasn't the best place to be, but you were in port, so you got liberty. This tells you where you are in relationship to the bow of the ship. So frame 55 to 59, so we're pretty much all the way forward just about. So when you know you're looking at frame numbers, because they start from the beginning and work their way aft. So we're getting close to the front. And it tells you what level you're on, the O2 level. So we're 2 decks up from the flight, or the hangar deck.
I was the head cook on there, 1970 and 71. Ran this kitchen right here. And we got a Midway sailor here. So, I don't know if you remember or not, when you come down this ladder, there's a full bakery behind that Z hatch. Okay, the bakery there make up breads, rolls, hamburger bun, hot dog bun, hot rolls, and bread all from scratch.
And smelled delicious.
We made 1,000 to 1,500 loaves of bread in one day. That's one day production was. Okay? Then I got another bakery midships. That's what making cakes, cookies, pies, and donuts. I'm going to be your new best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, they were.
And then a hamburger galley on the other side of that bakery. Now here's the deal. Difference between his Navy and my Navy. These were enlisted galleys and bakeries only. I was an enlisted cook only. Now you're not going to believe this. Until January 1974, I never allowed past that red hatch.
Oh, you getting lunch? Are you hungry?
What's on the other side of that hatch? That's officers' country.
Here, let's look
By
at
day and time, officers had their own cooks, and we had our cooks back here. Okay? Now, it's your turn. Now I need questions. Any questions all about food service? Go ahead.
Weight-wise, how much? Let's just pick like hamburgers. We're serving hamburgers.
We're gonna go this way.
Okay. It takes 10 tons of cooked food in one day to feed this ship.
With over 4,500 crew members and 2,500 air crew members on board, Midway's galleys were humping around the clock. They have 4 different galleys. And I tell you, if you've never had a slider or beanie weenies, you're missing out. So when he was talking about the officers had to pay for their meals, when I got commissioned and eventually went back to a ship, I had to pay, I think I was paying $210 a month for my meals when I was in the wardroom. And you know, you figure 210, 30 days, wasn't that much.
No.
But you still had to pay for it all. But that just meant we got to pick and choose what we ate too.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Instead of sliders.
So yeah, so in the wardroom, I could now go in and I could get eggs to order in the morning. Yeah. To sit down with him and you were below his rank, then you had to ask permission to sit down with him. And sometimes these 3 seats could be open and he could be by himself, and sometimes he'd want to sit by himself. So if you asked to sit and he said no, you waved off. And they would start out, you know, every meeting the same. You know, this engineering, they would start with engineering, biggest thing that keeps the ship moving. Well, on there, he started with the ice cream machine. Where's that part at? I want to know. And I was like, man, I love this guy. Get the ice cream back up.
Stick close to him.
Yeah. While assigned to the USS Midway, I was a deck seaman that worked with the bosun's mates. Now, bosun's mates are kind of a jack of all trade on board a Navy ship. I was a watchstander, I was a helmsman, I was a lee helmsman. I helped fuel the ship underway. I definitely painted the sides of this ship many, many times, to include the waterline. We stood watch all the way on the bridge. The aft lookout was on the after stack, or the aft island, if you will. I drove small boats. We kind of did everything on Midway, and we did all of that with very little sleep. Post office. So all the mail would come in on one of the cods, and they would bring it down into the hangar bay, and they would sort it by department. And they announced when the mail cod landed. They would say, Miss Piggy safely on deck with 7,000 pounds of mail, and you would hear a collective clapping and woohoo throughout the ship. Oh, that's a machinery space.
Yeah.
So they would make pieces and parts in here if they needed to. So I remember on the bridge when he was talking about ordering up, you know, 1/3 or the bells, they would come down the EOT here, and that's where they would ring it up. So when you hear them say, ring up 3 bells or 4 bells or whatnot, they're talking about 1/3, 2/3, things like that. So it was an actual bell down here. So this is where the chief engineer would hang out. In 1992, explosions and a fire that burned for over 10 hours rocked the USS Midway. 2 shipmates' lives were lost on the initial response to that fire. I was on board then, and I responded as well. I went down to the affected space 2 times as a hosesman trying to fight the fire. On board a Navy ship, everybody is a firefighter first. When you're out in the middle of the ocean, you don't have 911 to call the fire department to come help you. You are your own 911, and you are your own fire department. This is where they get their pre-flight briefings.
brief.
The mission brief was in here. But they call these the ready rooms. And I mean, look, they had nice cushion chairs, and then they would find out what bird they were in, what their mission was, who they were flying with. But each squadron would have one of these, so they didn't have to share. because they were all flying at different times, different missions, different aircraft. That's it for all
That's
your stuff.
everything you
and
own.
So this little orange thing here was so the person that slept up here could climb up. April 11th of 1992, Midway was decommissioned right here in San Diego after 47 years of service to our country.
Welcome to beautiful Balboa Park.
Yeah, this place is really beautiful, and Stacy's been to this place more times than I did when we were stationed here because I was always working or gone.
Are gone. Yeah, I brought the kids here a few times, but this place is actually bigger than Central Park. It actually was established back in the late 1890s, early 1890s, and it hasn't been a park here for that long. This park actually has 16 museums, and it has the zoo as well, the famous San Antonio Zoo. San Antonio. See, I'm gonna get my sands all mixed up now.
San Diego Zoo.
It's been a long time since we've been back here.
Yeah, we left San
So-
Diego in '99.
Yeah, so if you come out this way, this is a must-see. There's something here for everyone. They have activities for kids, for adults, the museums if you like that kind of stuff, or just, you know, admire these old buildings because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
We're gonna check out the Automotive Museum.
Cue the airplanes.
We are in San Diego,
Yeah.
so there's...
And look, that's how close the airport is, or airplane flight path is.
All right, so we're gonna try that again in case I need to cut it. Ready?
Okay, and go.
Museum of the day is the Automotive Museum.
This Cadillac is the first Cadillac RV, and it was built,
And the only.
it was built in 1947, but it came off the assembly line as just a straight 1947 Cadillac.
And a mechanic here in San Diego decided he was going to try something new and different.
Yeah, and man, did he hit it out of the park. This thing, not only is it self-contained, but he wanted to cruise across the country without stopping. And he was able to do that not only once, but twice. He went through our country, but he went up to Alaska and down into Mexico without stopping.
Now, when we say without stopping, we mean literally the car did not stop moving. He had several other mechanics that rode with him. If it needed oil change, a tire change, whatever, this thing was tricked out so they would still keep moving while they changed a tire and changed the oil. It's crazy what he did with this car.
Yeah, he built a catwalk around the car so they could get out while they were still in motion driving, and they could grab the spare tire from the trailer behind. He had it rigged so that he could move, or he could change the spare tire while they were going down the road. He had hydraulics that popped down on the front and the rear that had wheels on them that kept him going down the road while he changed the tire.
And he outfitted this car with ironing board, a sink, a hot water heater. He had a drinking fountain on the back. I mean, he had a bar inside. He had a hookah inside. He was ready to go. And he does still hold the endurance for the length of time a car is driven without stop, which is 6,300 miles.
This is crazy. This guy was a genius before his time, I guess.
And I bet you're wondering how he drove that far without running out of gas. Come over here, I'm going to show you. So this was his extra fuel. He had his own 250-gallon fuel trailer. Isn't that cool?
He would call ahead of time. They would let him in the airfield, and he would drive up the airfield, up and down the airfield, while they refueled him in motion.
So he never had to stop the
So
car.
he didn't have to stop. So to think about the logistics that went on in 1947 to make that happen, that's incredible.
Louis put the windows on the hood so if they were working on the engine, he could still see to drive the car. Also, down below, you'll see the running boards. The boards were actually put on so somebody could walk up and down to go hook up to refuel or change a tire. They actually were on that running board. And they actually stood on the running board to shower as well. Not sure how much of the water actually hit them when they were going down the road, but that's what they did. Are you ready to say goodbye?
Yeah, bye. San Diego, it's been fun. Time to hit the road.
Nice little walk down memory lane.
Yeah, it was a great visit. It really was. I enjoyed seeing the old ship, the old boot camp, just rolling through the old hood, where we were stationed here for about 9 years in the early 90s.
Definitely way back in the day.
Yeah, we were here from 91 to 99, so 8 years-ish.
Yeah.
But the place has changed. We hadn't been back here to do what we did since 99 when we left.
Yeah. And of course, we had to say goodbye to Chad and Tara today, too. It's so sad.
Oh, yeah, those guys. Yeah, it was great seeing them.
Yeah, it's always fun when we get together.
Yeah, we may go a year in between seeing each other, but every time.
But that's not the goal.
No, but every time we meet up, it's just like yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And that's the best part of this. You will bump into your friends on the road here and there, and it's so nice when you come back together. And when you separate, you know eventually you'll bump into each other again. So
yeah, and it's cool when you, and then we've traveled a few times with each other, so that's pretty cool.
yeah,
When you could caravan,
yeah.
it breaks up the time, and it makes it a little bit more comfortable driving.
yeah, it doesn't seem as long when you're
No.
goofing off on the walkie-talkies.
Yeah, our 9-hour travel day with him coming in to San Diego, I mean, it didn't really feel like 9 hours on the road.
No, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So who knows what friends we'll bump into next?
Yep.
So you guys just keep watching. You never know who's around the corner.
We gotta